Hi, friends, and welcome back. I thought today I would finally do the story time that I've been meaning to do, and I think it might be a long one. So, if you want to just put this on in the background while you're doing your cleaning, I do not mind at all, will not be offended. But I thought I'd talk about why I had a breakdown and what happened, and the elephant in the room, which is why I'm back here. And yeah, what happened? So basically, if you kind of followed what happened before, my landlord wanted to sell this place, so had to go. I was really lucky in that in the end, he gave me 6 months. He gave me 6 months to find somewhere, which is I'm really lucky because in Britain, before they changed the rules, they've now changed the rules for tenants, but before you had to get out within 2 months. So I was really lucky and I had 6 months to find somewhere. And I went on this journey of finding flats, and I was vlogging at the same time, still working, and I couldn't find anywhere to live really that I liked. In the end, I think I got to either 16 or 17 properties. I got to so many properties, and in the end, it was just becoming a joke. And my mum came with me to look at these properties. And, some of these properties we were looking at, didn't have a shower. They were horrible, or there'd be vomit stains on the carpet. Places where you wouldn't leave an animal, let alone a human. And the whole experience left me really upset and demoralized until I found the place. Thing is, it was getting to pretty much the last call. It was getting to December. I was getting into kind of like a desperate energy, had maybe a few weeks left, and I didn't want to push my luck with my landlord. So I moved into the place that I moved into. And I was all into this energy of making a fresh start. I wanted this to be such a fresh start for myself. And I thought, okay, I'm finally leaving this house. I'm leaving, the train track. And I really said to myself, I'm going to knuckle down and I'm going to make my channel work. So I was all set to move into this house, and it was this lovely, lovely, white house with white, clean lines. It had a massive open plan kitchen with an island. And I'd wanted my whole life to have an island. Literally, all I ever thought about was having a white island and being able to cook on it. That's literally all I wanted. And I was really in this energy of, yeah, this is going to be a fresh start. And then something happened. I'm quite friendly with the postman that delivers my letters, and I say hi to him, and we always have a little chat. And I mentioned that I was moving, and I said, oh, I'm moving to this house. And straight away, his face just dropped. And he said, oh, you mean da da da? And I went, yeah, I'm moving there. And he went, oh. And he said, I don't know about the lady downstairs, but she's a bit common, but really nice. I don't know if she's a drug addict or an alcoholic. And straight away, you know when something's gone wrong, and you know when, oh shit, I'm in the shit. And basically, my gut kept telling me to back out, but I didn't. I just kept going. And the thing is, at this point, I transferred all my utilities. The moving truck was booked. It was two days to go, and I couldn't really pull out. If I had fully listened to my gut, I could have pulled out. But I just thought to myself, well, maybe she's not that bad. Maybe she just likes a drink and she's fine. And I just left it at that. So for 2 days, I had sleepless nights. I felt really sick. I had a lot of anxiety because I knew straight away this was not going to be the dream move that I'd planned. In the back of my mind, I always thought, because I should explain, I was moving into the top half of a house, basically. I would have the top half, which was 3 bedrooms, and there was just one flat below me. And even when I signed the lease, the lady said, oh, how bad can it be with just one person beneath me? And that's what swung it for me, because it was a 3 bed. I had my own entrance. And obviously, after years of just sharing an entrance with people, having people come back late at night, wake me up, I just thought, I just want my own entrance. So that's half of it that swung it for me. And I thought, how bad can it be? It's just one person. So we moved in. It was all fine. It was a horrible move in. Basically, none of us could get the heater to work. None of us could get the oven to work. Like, it was just horrible. Like, literally nothing worked. Everything went wrong. It was literally like it was a cursed flat. And my mum was with me, and we said, look, we've got to bite the bullet. We've got to say hi to this neighbour. This is the neighbour that you're going to have to get on with. We're going to have to say hi. So we went down straight away. She opened the door. I could tell she has mental health issues. She had greasy hair. One of the first things they say when someone has mental health issues is that they just do not wash their hair. So straight away, I knew this woman had mental health issues because her hair looked like it hadn't been washed for a week. And she had, I'm not trying to judge, but she had a tracksuit on and it said Staffy Mum on it. So I knew straight away. I was like, this is not going to be good. And I could just tell by looking at her that she had some kind of substance addiction or dependence issues. I could tell she wasn't a well woman. And to be fair, she was very polite when I said hi to her and we shook hands. And it was weird. She like shook my hand and I was like, oh, I don't want to touch you. But I shook her hand to be polite. And then we just got on with it. And then I never felt, from day one, I never felt home in that place because obviously I'd gone from this place. And in this place, I get on really well with the neighbours. They're all super lovely. And I have no issues with them. And there's 5 other people and I have no issues with them. And I was like, oh no. And my mum asked what she did for a job because I was like, please have a job. Please have a job where you leave the house so I can film. Please have a job. And this lady said she just did 1 shift on a Sunday in a pub. And I was like, oh, that is the worst place for her to be if she's got literally dependence issues and she's working in a pub with that kind of environment. I was like, this is not going to go well. But I said to myself, it's fine. If she's noisy, I can just film on a Sunday. It's fine. I can just film on a Sunday when she's out. If the worst comes to the worst, I can do batch filming. It's absolutely fine. And I just had to deal with it. And then the hell started, basically. So literally day 1, I moved in. The thing that started it off was that basically I had my room at the back because that's where you typically have a back bedroom, and it was off-road. So I put my bedroom at the back of the house. And of course, where she put her lounge below me. And I was like, great, okay, this is going to be really annoying. Her lounge is under my bedroom. It's not what I've wanted, but we'll just make it work. Which would have been fine if she actually went to sleep, but she didn't. The first night she went to bed at 12:30, and I was like, okay, this is inconvenient. Hopefully it's a one-off. And I was so tired at this point because I'd been moving. I'd been up at 6 from this place and I'd moved in. I just wanted to go to bed at 9, but I felt I can't say anything. It's 9 o'clock. I'll just have to deal with it. And to cut a really long story short, she listened to TV all night. I'm not even joking, not even to the wee hours of the morning, and then she would get up and go to work. No, she was on a different sleep schedule to anyone I've ever met. She would literally watch TV all night. And I let it slide for 2 days. And then after 2 days, I had an absolute fucking crash out. Because at this point, I was still going to work. I was exhausted. I hadn't slept in 2 days. And I had an absolute fucking crash out at her. I was banging on the floor, telling her to shut the fuck up, go to fucking sleep. And the thing is, my downfall is I couldn't keep my emotions in check. And I said to her, we can't all have a rich daddy like you. Go to fucking sleep, you bitch. I was literally livid. Could not keep all this emotion inside me. And then that's when it started because I thought she wouldn't be able to hear me. Turns out she heard every word and was literally shouting and screaming for ages, for, I don't know, maybe like half an hour or so, shouting that she was going to beat me up, she was going to come up there, do me in, she was going to, all of this stuff. And in the end, I've never really been scared in my life, but at this point, I was so scared, I just literally got into bed and I huddled up in the fetal position. I was praying. I was just like, please, God, let the door hold. Please let the door hold. Please don't let her come in. Because I feel like I forgot to mention at this point that she mentioned when we initially spoke that she had bipolar. And I genuinely thought that, oh, maybe she has, when she said, I have bipolar, like straight away, she was like, hiya, I have bipolar. I was like, whoa, we have issues here. And she said she had bipolar, but I thought she was just going to be a bit down sometimes. I think looking back, like I literally thought she was going to be like Stephen Fry or something. My knowledge of bipolar before her was Stephen Fry. So I was like, oh yeah, that's fine. She has bipolar. I think looking back, obviously I'm not a psychologist or psychiatrist. I think she probably had schizophrenia or she had some kind of issue that was not bipolar. She was completely misdiagnosed, I think. And I was literally saying, please God, let the door hold, let the door hold. Because at this point, I literally thought she was going to kill me because she was just shouting and screaming, saying she was going to beat me up. And I didn't know she would kill me. Part of me thought she might actually kill me. I'm that scared. But this is the thing, this is the time when it would have been good to have just like a butch man or like a masculine man just to go down there and to just de-escalate the situation and just tell her to shut the fuck up or something. I needed a man in that time to just sort her out because she wouldn't have been really threatened by me. But the thing is, she should have been in some kind of mental facility or a home. She was just fucking crazy. And then, of course, because it was a wound that she had opened, basically my wound of not being able to live anywhere else. She opened the wound of me not being able to fulfill my whole potential, basically. So I just couldn't handle it, and that's why I told her to like shut the fuck up. I'm trying to sleep. I'm trying to go to work. I was just so pissed off with her. And basically she would watch TV all night. She would just do weird shit. Like she would literally start her washing at 4 o'clock in the morning. And in the end, she was just doing stuff to wind me up. And at first I thought, I can't say anything. I am getting up at 5:30 in the morning to do my corporate job. You have to put this into perspective. I moved in the middle of winter. It was a week before Christmas, so the timing was not great. I had all this going on. And she just would not go to sleep. I didn't even know this was actually possible as a thing, not sleeping. I generally thought humans needed to sleep at this point, but I don't know enough about drug use, but this woman literally did not go to sleep. She was up and about watching TV all day and all night. The thing is, she didn't just, people say, oh, she just left the telly on. No, because you could hear her coughing and laughing to whatever she was watching. Like I could tell she was physically awake. I could hear her moving about. I could hear her like stirring tea, putting the microwave on. So she didn't just leave her telly on to annoy me. This woman was physically awake. She was just such a loose cannon. And this was the point where I was like, I'm going to have a breakdown because I couldn't sleep. I was leaving for work. No, I was waking up at 5:30, leaving the house at 6:30 to get on the 7 o'clock train, and then I was coming back at like 7. I was exhausted with my corporate job, and I was like, I can't even film. Like, I don't even have the energy to pick up a camera and vlog because I can't sleep. And there'd be days where I'd literally like just have to go to my mum and dad's and just sleep because I was that sleep deprived. It was literally like I'd had a baby or something. But at least with a baby, the baby goes to sleep eventually. This woman did not go to sleep. And I thought, okay, I'm just going to have to deal with it. I'm just going to have to like get on with it until she started the music. So obviously, because I'd said to her like, shut the fuck up or whatever, there was a second occasion where I was like banging on the floor, like, go to sleep. I'm trying to sleep. And we just didn't get on because I wanted to go to sleep. She wanted to stay all night and just do drugs or whatever. I would see her drug dealer appear. I would see him drive his visor was down on his helmet. I was like, well, he's a drug dealer. He's not like a Just Eat driver. He's a drug dealer. So I knew she was on something, and I could smell it. I could smell weed every day. And for me, I cannot stand the smell of weed. This makes me think when I go to America, I need to pick a state that isn't fucking weed central, basically. I could smell a weed. She was on something else. I, I, I don't know enough about drugs to know which one she was on, but she was on some kind of amphetamine that made her stay up all night. She was literally on something where she would not sleep. And this is when I got to like breakdown stage. And I said to my mum, like, I'm having a breakdown. I don't want to live anymore. Like, I'm being punished. Why am I being punished? I said to my, all I literally want to do is be in a quiet house and film videos and try and make it. That's literally all I wanted to do. And that's when, in a way, I'm glad it happened to me, because it made me realize that you can't manifest stuff. Stuff's random. This happened. This was random. Just me moving into a flat and there being a drug addict below. It's nothing I've done. I haven't disturbed the gods. I haven't disturbed anything. It was just being poor. Me being poor is why this happened. And yeah, you could say maybe if you were rich, this would happen. You could get someone that does drugs a lot. But the fact that I had to move into this house and had no other option was purely down to poverty, was due to me not having enough money to live anywhere nice, not being able to live in a house that doesn't have neighbours. This is why I hustle so hard. It's like I do not want to live near neighbours like ever again. I will literally hustle every day until I can afford a house that has no neighbours. I am not having neighbours. I'm getting up and hustling and not having neighbours. So I thought, okay, she's under there. I need to have some sleep. We're going to have to think around this. So my brother came round, he helped me. We moved my bed into the second room that was smaller. It was a smaller room, but I thought, it's fine. She can listen to TV all night. I'll be able to get some sleep. And I could still hear her telly a little bit, but it wasn't as bad. And for a couple of nights, I had sleep, and I thought, it's okay. We're going to get through this. It'll be okay. She'll quieten down. What did she do? She moved beneath me and started watching TV beneath my new bedroom, because she could work out that I'd moved. Like, she wasn't stupid. So she moved her stuff and started watching TV below my bedroom. And at this point, I was just getting so pissed off with her. She was just fucking crack addict or something, just literally getting on my nerves. And I couldn't film, and I was exhausted from work. I can't really go into what happened at work because they'll probably sue me or whatever, but I was not having a great time at work, and I wanted to leave work anyway. And she was just being a bitch. And I just said to myself, okay, this is a hand you've dealt with. You're going to have to move. You're going to have to move somewhere else. And then I started looking for flats, and she was just doing weird shit, basically. I think I've got a picture on my phone. She just randomly left this long knife outside. I don't know if you can show a knife on YouTube, but she just left this fucking knife out in the garden for me to see every day. I'm like, is she literally going to stab me with that knife? Is she going to have a bipolar episode and fucking stab me? Probably. And I was literally terrified at this point. My nervous system was so fucking chaotic. It was like I was scared all the time. I was scared that she would beat me up all the time, and then I couldn't sleep. And she was just an unknown. She would literally come back, start shouting and screaming, always slamming the door. And I was just generally terrified every time I went home. And no one deserves to be terrified in their own home. And I was generally terrified of being in that home. And she was just getting worse and worse. In the end, she started putting music on for 2 days straight. Every day on Saturday and Sunday, she'd put music on all day. Not even, if it was 1 or 2 hours, I'd tolerate it. She would put music on from 10 o'clock Saturday right round until Monday, because she knew She knew that was my day off. One day at 10 o'clock, she screamed at me, "Enjoy your weekend, fucking bitch." And she put the music on really loud, like so loud that it was hurting my ears. It was like grime music. And she had this one song that she would put on to really annoy me. And I swear I had to spend half the time with my parents because she was just a nightmare. And to cut a really long story short, I was at work one day, found this flat had been listed again. Landlord said he couldn't sell it. I said, "Can I move back in?" And he said, "Yeah, that's great. That works out for me as well." And then finally my life started looking up. I moved in here. I was really upset to move back in here because I felt like it was moving back to square one, and it had its issues with nowhere to really film, and I just had to make the best of it and think, at least you're not there. At least you're safe. At least you know the neighbours. At least you can film. At least the man below, he's really lovely. He's retired, but he goes out a lot, so I can find to film. And he's relatively quiet, so it's fine. But I was just so glad that I left there basically. Towards the end she was just doing really crazy shit, like she would put dog shit in my dustbin. She was doing stuff to get me out basically because she didn't have a focus, that was outside of herself. Her whole reason for living was getting me out. And karma will come back and get her because who knows who will move in there. She might have someone that moves in there and then they beat her up. And to be honest, good luck to them because she is generally the only person I've ever met that the word to describe her is malevolent. Not even someone nasty or horrible. She was malevolent. She went out of her way to make my life hell. And the thing is, I tried all sorts of things. I tried putting myself in a place, in a loving, kind place, thinking, oh, well, obviously something's happened to her to make her be like that. You just don't wake up and decide, oh, I'm going to be a cunt today. I'm going to be a cunt to whoever it is for the rest of my life. She'd obviously gone through an experience to make her hooked on drugs that she couldn't get out of. But I just knew I just knew this situation was not going to change. She was always going to have these patterns. She was always going to act like this. And I needed to move. I needed to move out. And I did. And luckily, it only lasted 7 weeks. But it felt like it lasted 7 years. Honestly, it was a horrible experience. Oh, I missed out the point where I had to move back into my parents for 7 weeks as well. Had to put all my stuff in storage. I think I worked out in the end that I moved house 3 times in 2 months. That's 3 whole house moves of moving stuff into the van, out and in again, redirecting everything. I I was done. At that point, I'd had a breakdown. I said, I can't, I'm going to change my life. This is a breakdown. Quit my corporate job, move back in here, and then started filming again. I was like, no, I am not letting this define me. And to give myself credit, I moved out pretty quickly. I just decided, no, that's it, I'm moving. I'm not putting up with this situation. And then I moved out. And I can't believe that one person made me have a breakdown. The actions of one person made me not want to live anymore, made me suicidal, made me not want to get out of bed. I would literally wake up and just be crying. Like, I'd literally wake up, start crying because the situation I was in was so horrendous, and I've never been that depressed in my life. Like I said in one of my other videos, I felt like I'd been punished. I felt like God was punishing me for I don't know what, but I felt like, why can't I manifest? Why can't I manifest like everyone else? Why can't I have the career like everyone else? Why do I have to move into this flat? It literally had this third bedroom. I was going to turn it into a podcast studio. I was going to soundproof it. I was going to make it amazing. But she was just a twat and I couldn't film there because it was just constant noise. And I wouldn't have minded so much if she'd literally gone to sleep and I could sleep, but I just couldn't sleep. I had to spend half the time at my parents'. When I say at my parents', I was sleeping on a sofa. I didn't even have a bed. I slept on a sofa for nearly 4 months. And when you don't have a bed, it makes you so grateful for everything. I just taken for granted my whole life having a bed, being able to actually sleep, peace and quiet. I'd taken that for granted because I'd always had it, and I'm just so glad that that period of my life's over. But it did make me have a breakdown. I'm taking each day as it comes. It's helping me to focus on doing my channel and pushing towards something, because as you know, I've quit my corporate job. I couldn't do that job any longer. I'd come to the end of the road with it. I wasn't progressing. I'd hit a glass ceiling, was never going to improve there. They they already knew that I was pretty much quite quitting. They knew that I did the bare minimum to get by, didn't really push myself. When there was like a project to get involved in, I didn't want to get involved because I was like, I want to make my own money. I'm not making money for you. I want to make my own money, thanks. I want to be my own boss. So my card was marked there, really. They were like, do more finance exams or whatever. I was like, I don't want to. I don't want to. I just want to be a YouTuber. Like I know what I want to do. I know what I want to do. And yeah. So that is the whole story about how I had a breakdown. And it was really due to just one person having dependence issues and being in broken Britain, bringing broken Britain where people can't afford decent housing, where people work a full-time job and can't afford to live anywhere decent, and you end up being housed next to people that are on benefits and don't work. I mean, I know I don't work, but I'm still supporting myself. I'm not on benefits. It's a benefit cycle of Britain that keeps people trapped. They're not going to go to work. I mean, I've only been not working for 3 weeks, and the idea of me going back to work, it's like, oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to go back to an office again. Going back and working in an office is fucking hell. And these people are getting all their rent paid, everything paid, and living on handouts. They're not going to go back to work, are they? I just think Great Britain is broken, doesn't incentivize anyone to try and make it. As soon as people try and make it, they just tax the hell out of them. It's like, well, no wonder they're going to go to other countries, because in the UK we just tax the fucking hell out of people. So they're not going to stay. They're not going to stay and put stuff back into the community because we just tax everyone. So yeah, that's why I'm probably the only person in the whole world trying to get into America now, because from what I see online, everyone's trying to leave. So I'm like literally the only person trying to get there. But hey, I feel better getting that out, that story now. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. And just if anyone is going through a really hard time, just to know that things get better. I look back now and I think that was the worst period of my life and I got through it. And I think now, like, I don't go to therapy for it. Like, I don't believe in therapy as a concept. I think if something bad happens to you, you deal with it, you get on with it, you move on. You don't keep dwelling on it. Like, there's no point me dwelling on that time. I've just transmuted the pain, gone full force into doing my videos, and that is a part of my life that happened. I take the lessons from it, we transmute the pain, and we move on. We move forward, and we don't look back. Thanks for watching, everyone. See you later.